issue comes when the person who knows that they don't want to do it is not honest about it. Just not straightforward about it. Does that make sense? And that's both women and men alike.
Well, that kind of brings up my point of what I wanted to talk about earlier, which is a lot of the damage between men and women happens because we don't have the same perspective on things. Like how we feel like we should be able to argue with women and vice versa, these are going to cause a lot of growing pains in a relationship. If a man wants to be able to talk as directly and as recklessly as he would with any of his fellas, but he don't know that's much of an issue when he talks to you because he just genuinely doesn't care. When you're trying to express your emotions and try to get your point across to him, you're going to continue to miss each other because the way that you fundamentally feel free in your communication, the other person doesn't necessarily care about yet. So y'all end up damaging each other because of your perspective and your preference of speech. And then you take it personal, and now you be like, oh, the guys, they don't never talk to us nice or anything like that. It's not that they don't talk to you nice, it's just that he's comfortable talking like this, and it's like a little rough, but you have a much lighter approach to your conversation. So it's just like that's why I say you should definitely take more time to understand more about the opposite sex. Like I think women should spend more time learning about men, and men should spend more time learning about women and understanding like, yo, like I might think she's saying this, but she's actually saying this kind of sort of.
Anybody else wanted to add for what she was saying? I mean, I absolutely agree, but I still think the number one reason is people just not trying to be honest. I think everybody's selfish. Everybody's out for themselves. You know, when you are in a relationship, it should be about the union, right? You commit to the relationship. And it's a lot of people who just not, they don't commit to their jobs, they don't commit to their families, they don't commit to the relationship. They have committal, they have problems all across the board.
So so
She ain't committed.
so Shan, first I want to say tonight I'm not here to beat up the women. Tonight I'm actually trying to be a bit more honest from my perspective. And I will say men are probably the most selfless beings on the planet. And I would also add that I think women, for the most part, are selfish by nature. I think men are we are just giving creatures. I really believe that. Now y'all are nurtured the shit out of somebody, but I think it's mostly for whatever selfish reason you have in your head. Now, something that I've been thinking about, and it's going to kind of go along on this point, and I would like to hear Marcus's point of view on it. If I'm barking up the right tree on this, men are held accountable. We are simply held accountable for every action. But when we see in these spaces, too oftentimes, Black women are trying to beat up on Black men. And I'm not saying that about tonight, but what I am saying is what happens far too often is when we want to do something, and let's say the powers to be don't want us to do something, who do they stick on? The Black man, the Black woman. And when we were watching those videos, it seemed like the narrative that was being painted at that time was more of the same. Marcus, am I correct on that perception of it?
Yeah, so my whole thing, it just seemed like we was when so if they put up videos of women twerking and leaving their kids in the car on a 95-degree day, I say that's wrong. That's not representative of Black women. So that's my same response. If it say like it's Black men broke, ain't gonna pay for stuff and they gonna beat you up, like I'm gonna have the same response for both of those things. because I think it's harmful to push those agendas on black people in general. I get the point you was trying to make, that maybe something could have been a catalyst, but then it would have had to be happening in mass to be a catalyst for this many people.
So it's so the people who were so oftentimes we hear in these spaces that women their single moms teach their kids what? Teach their girls that you be independent, you don't need a husband, right? So I was going back to say, well, what caused these older people to believe that? If we feel like many women have been taught this, what causes the mother or the grandmother to even have that in her mind? Obviously, this is not the majority, because some women want to, have a man. Some women don't live life like this. It was simply tackling that issue.
So I think most women want to have a man. If I'm honest, I damn near say 96% of women want to have a man.
Right. I do believe that too. But if we say in on these platforms that women miss independent, that women always talking about they don't want a man, those are the women we're talking about, whether they be in large numbers or very small. We're just tackling that subgroup, that small subgroup today. And where did they get that information from? Why are their parents teaching them that information?
Do you think it's more reasonable that say you was a side kid, right? And you go to your mom and ask her, hey, where's my dad? You don't need your father. Do you think that's more of what could have potentially happened, where people didn't have a man, and instead of saying, hey, I wish I had one, but I don't got one, they said you don't need him?
I think that would be the same. I think that could possibly happen to some people, right? But again, here's a narrative that is trying to, what's the word? Put it back on just women, which we do a lot in these spaces.
No,
so yes, I do.
Those men are responsible too, who had the child with her and didn't take care of that child.
To answer your question, though, yes, I do think that possibly could be an issue as well.
Yeah, my thing was, I feel like it's more so those men who created children they didn't take care of are pieces of shit. They the worst type of men. When you create children and you don't take care of them, you just have them floating, wondering where my daddy is. Fuck you, bro. You the worst type of man. Like, I couldn't be cool with you. I can't.
Yeah. And this could be,
but I can't co-sign that black men is out here beating on women like that. Like, it's some all the men I know.
We have that video was from 1960s. That's that's clearly not your brother, your cousin video. That video was from 1960s. There's nothing about that video that paints a picture of men today. That is nothing.
It sets the precedent, John. It's the precedent.
Yeah, but it also what it does thing too.
It's the principality, Smokey.
It kind of reinforces and plants the seed in a lot of women's head who might have had some unfortunate situation, maybe one off, right? To think like, yes, like that is the reason. And it just kind of creates this sort of tension inside of them as they view men.